Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 22 of Reptiles and Cocktails. And my guest today is Mike Stefani. Say Stefani. Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Stefani from Mike's Monitors. And Mike is actually here. We're just having a little bit of technical difficulties. I'm waiting for him to be added to the stream, but I had to go live before the podcast was totally deleted. So I'm here now. So I'm just going to, as we wait for Mike, just to give some reminders. First of all, I want to say thank you for everybody who is already in the chat. Welcome. So I'm going to take this time to shout you out now. Bosa, number one, my hombre, Bosa Balls. T Keys in the house, Keys Constrictors. Thank you for coming through. Yep, much love and positive energy. We have Sea of Serpents, Morph Stan. Thank you for coming through. Craft is already here. Appreciate you, Craft. And everybody, remember, if you're watching this on Facebook, we cannot see your comments live on the stream. So please log out of Facebook, log on to Lady Tig's Exotics on YouTube, and then hit the link for this episode number 22. In addition, please keep in mind that I'm definitely shouting out two charities. I'm going to start with the charity for St. Jude's. Aussie Boyd's is actually heading that charity, and we've already broke goal number one. So head on over to Aussie Boyd's Instagram or Facebook if you would like to donate to that particular charity. And then also, for those of you who follow me, you know that I am actually doing the cancer walk in San Diego again this year for Susie Jean Coleman. That link is on my Facebook page, but if you would like to donate, just let me know and I'll just shoot the link directly to you as well. And include it at the end of this episode in the description. So just the FYI on all of that. G3, thank you for being here. Hey, Mike, what's up? Will's hella heat. Thank you, Will. You driving? Because you always driving when I'm on my podcast. But yeah, I'm glad you're listening. Hey, 21st Century Mike. We got what, 3 mics in here so far? Let's see. All right, guys. So So Mike, if you can hear me, I can definitely see that you're trying to come in. I just still can't see you on camera yet. But my audience is patient, don't worry. All right. And guys, if you can just share this out, please, that would be great. I need to send this to Kevin. Hold on one second. Let me get this shared out. As you come in, please hit the like button. That would be great. And subscribe and share if you like. But while you're here, at least like it. Right, let me send this. All right. So, okay, Mike, I can see you're back, but the camera is still not on. That's why I can't add you to the stream. And it's actually just the camera is there, just needs like whatever device you're using, it's just not on. It's turned off or closed. Because I can see it. It has the X they're saying that it's still off. And Mike, someone said open it in Chrome if you can. That's probably the issue. All right, so he's going to come out and come back in. So hopefully he can hear me, because I don't even know if he can hear me, but I can see him. Thank you guys for your patience. Again, if you're watching this from Facebook, please tap in on YouTube so you can engage in the comments. Let me see. I'm try calling them and see if that helps. Oh, somebody's sending me a message. Who's that? Thank you for your patience, guys. We're going to get this together. Let me go on Facebook. I don't know who that is. What? Okay. All right, so we have Jay Hill. Thank you. You're definitely new here, so welcome. Maki, hey sis. Hey Tim, thank you for coming through again. If you just joined, Mike is actually here. We're just having a little technical difficulties, so it'll be well worth it. So just stand by. As soon as we can get his camera going, we will go straight into the interview with Mike Monitors. And I'm super excited. Okay, let's see. Quest, here we go. Thank you, Christina. All right, let's see now what we got here. I apologize. Let's see if I can get my. I'm sure he has some support there helping him through. Hey, Dre. He is here. We're having some technical difficulties getting his camera to show. When he logs in, for some reason, his camera is still not on. Totally understood, Tim. Thank you. Bear with us. Okay. All right. I see. Let me see if I I think we're good now.
All right. Hey, what's happening, Nicole? Oh,
Did you hear me the
man.
whole time I was talking?
Yeah, I can hear you and see you, but you couldn't hear or see me. I'm sorry. I'm low tech, but
Look,
here we
don't
are.
worry. We would have waited all day for this, okay?
Oh, this is good.
Don't even worry about it. I am so excited. So wait a minute. Did you hear me say your name in my Italian voice? Mike Stefani.
There you go.
Stefani. Okay,
That sounds good to me.
So, everybody, y'all, so where is AJ? AJ said when I was interviewing Bosa, he said that I was fangirling. I'm going to be fangirling again today. I am so excited. This is like a celebrity to me.
Oh, man, please.
No, I'm just saying. When we went to Tinley, I told my husband it was a list of 3 people that was a must see. And all 3 of those people were absolutely amazing. But you were like double, triple amazing in personality. So even better than who we thought you were in person, you're like triple that in personality. And I was so honored to meet you. And I'm pinching myself because y'all, I'm interviewing Mike Monitors.
That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just a regular guy, but I really do appreciate it. And I still have a hard time grasping it. I mean, if you knew my background and everything, yeah, this is like surreal for me that people think that way about me, but it is what it is. I give all the glory to God for sure.
Amen. Amen. So we're going to get into that. So my podcast, I like for people to know the person before they became who we know them as of today. I mean, I'm very transparent about my life and myself as well on here. But tell me a little bit about who you are as a person. And then how did you get to loving, and I can't even say in loving monitors because that's a understatement. Like living and loving the life of the monitor.
Okay, well, I don't know. The story starts out like most people. You know, I was just a dirty little boy playing in mud puddles and, you know, catching ants and butterflies, moths. And then, you know, as I got a little bigger, ventured out into the neighborhood and, you know, I'd go by the railroad tracks and catch snakes, the frog pond and catch turtles and frogs and toads. Just, I've always been fascinated by the creepy crawlies, you know. I love dogs, but I'm not much for cats and, you know, animals like that. Like, and like a big part of it for me is something that I really loved was creating naturalistic habitats. So as much as I love these animals, you know, I really love to put what's in my mind's eye into something that's tangible that you could, you know, play with and mist and sculpt and shape and put an animal in there and have it just, you know, obviously, you know, and enjoy its habitat rather than just a plain box with a driftwood and a water bowl. I like to give them, you know, lots of options, places to hide, and just like for them, it's kind of selfish. It's you know, that's what I want to look at. It's what I want to see. So again, I always tell people, you know, if you could see it in your mind's eye, you can create a beautiful habitat, which is so beneficial for the animal, for yourself. And then when people come to my house and they look at, you know, I tell them, oh yeah, I breed lizards and, you know, I have reptiles. And so I don't know what they expect, but the reaction when they get here is always like, oh man, I had no idea. This is like a zoo. No, this is better than the zoo. And that right there is what makes it all worth my while, because then, you know, a couple months down the road, a year down the road, I'll have these same people, you know, send me a picture and say, hey, how does this look for a bearded dragon? I'm like, that looks great. You know, I mean, it sure beats a bear tank with a little water bowl and a hide box. You know what I mean?
Right.
So to motivate people to do these animals justice. That's as much as that's a byproduct as much as breeding the animals. It's just what it is for me.
Well, I think so. I can't think of anybody else whose enclosures inspired me as much as yours.
Thank you.
Except I would say that Kevin McCurley had some really nice enclosures for his monitors as well when I visited.
Yep.
But yours were the one when my husband built. I don't know if you ever had the chance to look at my YouTube channel, but if you go to see his initial build of my Asian water monitor enclosure, it's a video. I was sick at the time, and all I was able to do was to give my husband the vision that I wanted, and I wanted my water monitor. Now, granted, I can't give him his real natural habitat, but I wanted it to be as big as I could, as natural as I could, and I wanted to look and see him acting like a monitor in the wild when I watched him on camera.
That's what it's all about.
I told my husband everything we was going to need, and it's not cheap to do it the right way, right?
No.
Even down to the heating system, because he got this great big old pond, and not just a pond, like his pond is about 3 feet, 250, 300 gallons. And you have to have the proper heating system for that, because I'm in Maryland.
Absolutely.
So you got to think about, like, it's perfect conditions for him right now. But in the winter, we have to create that for him.
Right.
And so watching you and your monitors, first of all, where did you get the skill set to build the way that you do?
Well, my grandmother, God rest her soul, she was known as Granny. My friends, everybody knew my grandma as Granny, and she was an artist. So, being a little kid, Italian kid, I was always around my family, and I just watched my nana and my granny cook, and for Italians, even when you cook, it's like a creation. So, I got cooking skills from my grandma and my nana and my mom, of course. But my granny was an artist, so I would always watch her painting and sculpting, and I never really put this together probably until I was much older. But even as a kid, like when I would catch a toad, I would put it in a tank, and I would look at it, and I'm like, wow, if I could do a little pond over there. And so I guess what it boils down to is, I would always, as a little boy, I would always like read in the library of the school. Teachers used to smack me on the head and say, "Hey, pay attention." And I was looking at National Geographics and excuse me, reptile books and more of their geographic locations and stuff rather than just the animal itself. So I fell in love with designing habitats that were my best replication of what I believed their natural habitats to be. And, just slowly but surely, you say you're working with foam and grout, and then you have a lizard dig through it, and you're like, oh, wow, I got to find something better. So, yeah. So over all the years of doing all the little, the things that everybody's doing, from smearing silicone on the sides and pressing cocoa fiber into it to where I'm at now is where I'm using Zoopoxy over styrofoam to create everything. And it's like, when it's cured, it's like concrete, and it's designed for reptile habitats, and not just the small guys. It's used in zoos and exhibits. So it's anywhere from raptors to, big cats, tiger enclosures, porcupines, armadillos, and it's really good stuff, and it's strong stuff. And like I said, if you can imagine it in your head, and with styrofoam and then sculpting it and then putting your Zoopoxy over the top of it, if you can see it in your mind's eye, I believe anybody can do it. I have a lot of people tell me, oh, I don't have an artistic bone in my body. I'm like, yeah, but you called me and you told me you would like a jungle vine here and a rock pool here. You see that. They're like,
Right.
yeah, I see it. I said, put it into practice. Get a rope. Put some Zoopoxy over it. Bend it to where you want it. Take a bunch of paper and crumble it up into balls. When you got your little balls crumbled up, put Zoo around it, put them together, and now you have a rock grotto. And they're like, really? It's that easy? I'm like, it's that easy. And it is. If like I say to people, if you can see it in your mind's eye, you can do it. And if not, give me a call and I'll help you out.
All right.
I love
have
helping
so
people.
many questions. So before I move on, there are
Yep.
some wonderful people who some personally I know just adore you. So I want to make sure that you know they're there. Jay Hill is here. He said, let's go, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Mikey is my little Hawaiian sister. She said, woody woo.
Woo!
And you know him, very close friend of mine in my nuisance, Dre DW Exotics.
he's a great guy, man. I love that guy. Met him maybe a couple of years ago at one of the Tinleys, and man, we mashed and yeah, I love the guy. I love what he's doing, and totally support him in what he does, and it's awesome. This is actually a great community. I mean, just like any other community, there's turds here and there, but you know, even then, you just kind of brush that stuff. I let negativity just bounce right off of me. I don't have time for it. I'm a father of 8 kids, so there ain't nothing you could throw at me that I already haven't been through. So good luck with trying to get under my skin.
So I heard that the other night. I heard Chris from Snake and the Fat Man say that, and I thought
Great
he was
guy.
joking. You really do have 8 kids.
Yeah, I do. Hey, Nicole, but I got the TV fixed now, so
You need them.
No more kids.
I know. I can't remember his name, but one of your sons, he does a lot of the work with the lizards with you.
Yeah,
and your daughter. Okay.
Yeah, 2 of my sons. All my kids are involved to some extent. Like the other night, I was doing a couple eggs from one of my sulfur monitors, and my daughter Gigi, she's like a clone of me, poor kid, but she had to hold this 5.5 foot lizard, and she takes it all. All of my kids, they're all good.
Yeah, one of my tables' name is actually Gigi. I named her after when Kobe. I got the tables right after Kobe Bryant passed away. So I got the boy name is Kobe and the sister name is Gigi.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and Gigi, my table is the most hilarious table ever, and that's one of the things that I do want to kind of dive into because you have such a variety of lizards, and their personalities. Can you explain to people how different each lizard personality is? And sometimes it's based on species as well. I see, but across the board, like my Asian water monitor and my tables both act like dogs.
Yeah. Monitors are. I would say monitors are very dog-like. Very, very smart. So above and beyond their instinctual behaviors, which that's ingrained into them, they're so intelligent. Pardon?
I say yes, it is.
Yeah, they're so intelligent. Like I try to explain to people. Excuse me. Terrible habit. Like snakes and monitors are so different because like when you put a snake in an enclosure and it's satisfied, it has food, it's just waiting to, it's breaking down its food for the next meal. Well, that's instinctual behavior. They kind of sit off into the corner by themselves and they let their bodies do what their bodies do. But a monitor is never really like that. A monitor, it hears a noise. It wants to know what it is. It sees movement and it wants to know what it is. So with monitor lizards, their behavior is very curious and they're smart. So they want to, and I believe it's very important to satisfy that for your animal as much as their water needs. Their mental enrichment is very important. So, like snake mental enrichment, you take them outside, you handle them, and that's good for them. But they're really happy when they go back in there and they coil up. A monitor,
they're fine either way.
Go ahead.
I said they're fine either way.
So,
when it comes to a snake, but with a monitor, my water monitor very specifically, like even routines is important to him. How smart they are, like you were talking about. My husband doesn't handle any of these animals a lot, and definitely not the lizards. So if me and my son go in his enclosure, he'll come right out. If my husband is in there, he will not come out until my husband leaves. Now, he never saw who walked in there because he's still wherever he is.
Right.
But then my husband leaves, he comes climbing over the pool.
Yeah. They're not dumb. They're very smart. They pick up on your patterns. They pick up on visual patterns. They pick up on sound patterns. I mean, all of my stuff is kept in the basement, and without the light cycles and stuff, they know when it's daytime and they know when it's nighttime because all the activity in the house stops. Like for example, when you get wild caught animals, okay, these are, which all of my sulfurs are wild caught animals, and they are all completely tame. And I don't like to use the word tame. They tolerate, they tolerate human presence. They are trusting for sure. And with like a snake, if you make a mistake and you put them back in their cage, as far as I can tell with them, that memory is gone. Where if you make a bad move with a monitor, boy, they remember that. And if they feel that coming on again, you could see the apprehension in their movements. So what I try to tell people is people, they're so smart, and people are like, well, what I want to do is I'm going to turn the lights off in the day and I'll turn them on at night. And that way they'll be out basking and stuff. I'm like, do you realize what you just did? They're like, no, what did I did? So you let your monitor train you. So you can't do that. You have to do what you do. And people, this is a crazy world we live in. Everybody wants instant gratification. Monitor lizards are way too smart for that. You got to work with them. You got to build a relationship with them. You got to build trust with them. And just like what goes with all of that stuff, you can and you will make mistakes that break that trust, but you got to just get back on the horse and keep going and loving the animals. They really feel that sense that you care for them. Monitor lizards anyways, for sure. So if you go down there, like we were talking about with dogs, if you go down there and you just, your kids were bouncing a ball off your head and your wife was telling you to go mow the lawn, and you go down there with apprehension, tension in your body, they pick that up. They feel that. And now what you're broadcasting out, they're picking up and way more than like humans. I mean, humans, you could smile at them and you can laugh, and you could do that with your animals too, but man, they can really feel your energy. So I always try to clear my mind when I go down and I'm working with animals, and I'm thinking all about my animals, my chores, and what I need to do and the way I expect them to behave. I'm not trying to sound like, monitor whisper or nothing like that, but these are all little things that you learn over 30 years. You got to be in touch with your animals, because you know what, they are in touch with you.
They are very in touch with you.
Absolutely. And people don't give them that much credit, but you better start, because I got a 6-foot sulfur water monitor. It could be a very dangerous animal, but she's like a puppy dog. She's very, laid back and calm, and it's all in the way you work and deal with them.
Well, something you mentioned, and I do want to make one correction. I felt that way about snakes until I got my reticulated python. So if you do something to a reticulated python, they will remember it. And it's one of the reasons why I do not inherit other people's retics. So people always talk about how tamed my retics is. I say they conditioned. They're conditioned to know that I love and respect them. So they treat me with the same respect. And I've never done anything to them that as a child, when they were younger, that would make them say, I don't trust her.
Right.
But just like the monitors, if you do something to a reticulated python, even if it's accidentally, it takes a long time for you to build that trust again, for them to become who they were before you did that. So I would say that, and that's why I say next to my retics, my monitors are my favorite, because, and the only difference is that I get to engage with my retics all the time. My monitors are all, and my tables are in the garage area. And the Asian water monitor specifically, the tables are come in the house and run through the house. They don't care. Yeah. They're not afraid of nobody. They just, but the water monitor is still resistant to the presence of my husband.
Yep.
And it's only because my husband never handles him. So what we noticed this year, after he built the bigger enclosure, he is more like, he still won't let my husband touch him, but he will at least not run away when he walks in. But my husband makes himself more present to him now. So what you said is those routines and their instincts. Like, I think it's amazing, even with my granddaughter. I guess because she's just a little child, when I first introduced her to him, he was like, okay, it's a kid. I don't know, something about her never intimidated him.
And what's your husband's name again?
Gavin.
Okay, Gavin. Well, Gavin, I mean nothing by this, but see, the innocence of your granddaughter is coming, and like I say, they pick up on emotions and energies.
Yeah.
And Gavin, man, you just got to tighten up your energies a little bit there.
Energy is all messed up with all of the reptiles.
I'm only playing with them.
Coming in like, look, I don't want, and that's the thing, and that's the point. What you're saying is exactly. My granddaughter is like, she's carefree. Oh, let me go swim, because when he was smaller, she used to literally get in the pool and swim with him.
Yeah.
And he loved that. Like, he will come underneath her feet and everything like that. But when he got bigger, just because, they still clumsy, he will jump on her, and I don't want him to ever jump on her and, accidentally put her under the water.
Right.
So we don't do that as much unless I'm in there with them as well.
Right.
But I find with the monitors, I can communicate with him even through the microphone. So his camera has a microphone in there. So it can be late at night, and I can say, Larry, what are you doing? And he will look right to the camera like he knows I'm in that camera.
Oh, he knows. He knows.
It is insane.
Yeah, they're highly intelligent. People don't give them the credit for their intelligence that they actually deserve. Like, I came up with a technique for people that buy my animals, and 90% of them, they want a tame animal. And again, I throw up that word tame. Tame is really not it, because these are animals. You have good days and bad days. It's more like a relationship that you have with them. But so I came up with this a technique for the coming eye water monitors, my Mertens monitors, and the sulfur water monitors that I breed, because these are really long-lived animals, and they deserve to have a relationship with their owner. They deserve to be treated right and taken out and explore your backyard, whatever the case may be. Of course, you don't want to do that with little ones. But once they get big enough to where you can track them and everything, I have animals that I could bring outside and sit right here and have a conversation with you and not worry about them running off. I do
Right.
worry about, I got quite a few hawks and stuff around here, so I worry about that, but
Right.
not the animals, not my monitors. So I developed in trying to use the animals' psyche. Okay, just like anything else, when they're first born, when they hatch, they know instinctually, they know that they are predator, they're prey for everything. Fish will eat them, turtles will eat them, birds, everything. 90% of that stuff approaches them from above. So I came up with a technique where I suggest to anybody who buys from me is you got to get a front opening enclosure. Okay. So you're not coming at them from above. So there, you've already mitigated one of their fears. You're not coming at them from above. So you're got a mark in the good column. So with that, and I have people who listen and people who don't listen, and the people who don't listen, they don't have the results.
Experience.
Yeah, because this is really such a simple, beautiful technique. When like I was saying, they're very intelligent, but they're instinctual too, and they have instincts that overrun all of the trusting and their what's the word? What am I looking for? Their curiosities. Okay, they want to be curious, but they also don't want to die. So in like for the water monitors and emergence, I tell people, I say you get a 40 gallon breeder size like Exoterra front opening, and you can go to the store and get a little drill bit for like tile that where the sink, the handles and stuff come out. So it's probably 3/4 of an inch. Bore a hole through the bottom glass. It's very easy, and if anybody wants to know how to do this, just hit me up. I'll be glad to walk you through it. It's very simple. But then I put about an inch of water on the bottom, okay, and then I take a cork tube and it goes from left to right across the whole thing, and then I take a hole saw and I drill 1-inch holes in the cork tube. So it's kind of like Swiss cheese, because what people want to do is they look at my enclosures or other people who has really nice enclosures and they're like, oh, that's what I want. I'm like, dude, be patient. If you follow what I'm saying, by the time you're ready to upgrade from this Exoterra, you could put them in an enclosure the size of your living room with plants and hide spots. And when they hear you, they're going to come running to you. So what people will do is they want to put them in that cage as babies. Okay. So they put them in those cages and they have cork tubes, but with no holes in them. So the animal instinctually, it hides. It's a baby. It knows it's prey for everything. So it hides. So people will call me and they'll say, oh, I haven't seen him in a week. Is he okay? I'm like, well, I don't know if he's okay. Did you set it up the way I said? No, I put him in this, and they'll show me a picture of a really nice enclosure. But they're like, hey, should I take the cork tube out? I'm like, no. I said, if you do that, all you're teaching him is that the big hairy monkey can actually go in there and destroy my world and get me no matter. I'm not safe anywhere. So by doing this setup that I'm talking about, and I could show anybody links and videos and everything of how I do this. Like I said, it's a 40 breeder Exoterra with a cork tube that goes from one side to the other with several 1-inch portholes drilled in there. And the portholes are for two reasons. Number one, you can observe them without disturbing them. So you're not Godzilla to the little baby lizard. You could feed them through these ports and one basking light over the top of one side, and they can bask on the top. And they can bask crepuscularly inside the tube and feel really secure. And by doing that, you're not tearing their cage apart, and you can see them, you can observe them without even opening the door. When you do open the door, you be very slow and quiet, and you offer them a little tiny piece of food. Give it to them, close it up, done. The next day, I feed my animals every day. I'm not necessarily feeding them giant meals, but especially when they're young, this is very good to do. Feed them every day. You got to support their their skeletal growth, because like we were talking about them being prey, they have a goal, and the goal is to get from being prey to being a predator as fast as they can. So vitamins and mineral supplements are very important to support that skeletal growth. And again, you're not trying to scare them. You're slowly working with them. And I mean slow. It takes months. But if you listen to me, and at the end of 5 months, these animals will have no fear of you. They not only will not fear you, but they will look forward to hearing you coming down your stairs, because, like I said, they pick up on visual and sound cues. So when they see a light turn on or they hear you coming down the stairs, they're not dumb. They know you're coming. You're the food monkey. You're the happy guy. And before you know it, you got an animal that's bonded to you. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think something you said that is very important. And for anybody who's getting into monitors, and it's the same thing I say with the retics, where you put them in the house, you want to put them somewhere where they used to seeing you coming and going. But like you said, Mike, having places where if they want to kind of hide, they can. But sometimes people will put them in rooms that they don't see you. And that makes it worse, because you're not teaching them the instinctual things they need to know about you. Like what happens, and I'll give you an example. We put our monitor when he was a baby in his 40 breeder, right at the bottom of the stairs, because we have a real big Roddy. And when our Roddy goes up and down the stairs, it sounds like a damn horse. So we wanted him to see when he hears that's the dog. But when you hear the lighter steps, it's us. So he is not always reactive,
right,
to the dog's steps.
Right.
And it's the same thing with where he's at now. Being in the enclosure, I go in there every morning. Some days I tell people, because it feels like a sauna in there for me. So like today after my workout, I would just go in there with my chair, with my book, turn on Bob Marley, and it's just me and the monitor. And that's how I think we created the best relationship to this point. As crazy as this may seem, when I turn on Bob Marley, he will, if he's somewhere where I can't see him, he automatically comes out, because he knows I'm getting ready to come and sit in there. Yeah. And it's all just what he knows.
And who don't love Bob Marley, right?
Right. You mentioned feeding them every day as babies, which I did too. I would give them small meals, but at the age he's about to approach 2 years old, and he grew pretty quick. Like his little belly is, really big now. So I might feed him. I go to the Asian store for my Asian water monitor. Y'all can call me crazy if you want to, but
not at all. I've been doing that for years.
Okay, like
they got the best food.
And it's his food, and he eats it better, digests it better. His poop looks better when he's eating Asian fish. Like it's just different. But I notice now that I'm kind of torn of feeding him every day or every other day. And I'm going to tell you why. It seems when I feed him I was feeding him one time, like every 2 days. But I would feed him cut up 3 fish and put the calcium on it, and might give him in a mixed bag, because my monitor loves rats, so I give him what he wants. I might not give him rats all the time, but I always give him at least 2 rat pups with any meal I give him. But should I, at the age he is now, should I still be feeding him every other day or every day?
Well,
still.
Here's the thing, and people, I try to get people to understand this, because this is a very, very important part of monitor husbandry. Is you don't want to go heavy on rodent diet, because what happens is that's a heavy meal for them, and they kick back and they lay down under their basking spot and they start breaking that meal down, and they don't use up all those calories, they put it into their body. Their body becomes, and I'm learning all of this over the years is, I've killed a lot of animals, unfortunately, but that got me to where I'm at now, where I rarely feed rodents. I mean, baby lizards, I'll chop up pinkies and give them like chopped pinkies parts and, leg, head, chopped guts, everything goes into it. But so when they're young, rodents is okay because you're trying to do what they want to do, and they want to get out of the prey stage and into the predator stage as fast as they can, because they never know when a bird's going to pick them off or whatever. Of course, it's not going to happen in captivity. They don't know that. So once they hit that size to where they're very bold and outgoing, confident, they're not worried about a bird, swooping down on them, basically. When they get to that point, you've put the growth on them that they need for their skeleture to get to a certain size. Now, once they get to that size, they're using all of that for other means. They want to reproduce. They want to make eggs. They want to, have enough energy to dig a nest. So these are all things you got to consider. So my diet that I use, probably 85 to 90% is birds. They're quails, because
he loves quails.
Yeah, because there's really nothing. I mean, they get all the vitamins and minerals from their powders, and I use Sticky Tongue Farms mineral for indoors. So they get all their vitamins like that. But as far as for their nutrients, if you give, we'll say a 2-foot Mertens monitor, he might be able to eat 3 or 4 mice, and then he'll be bloated sitting there. Well, you can give that same animal like 5 chicks, and the next day they're ready for 5 more chicks, because it's an easy meal to break down. There's no fur and heavy bones, and the caloric intake is quite different than a rodent. So,
Gotcha.
I mean, even when you pick up a rodent of the same weight, you can feel the density difference. So birds they're real easy for them to digest. So birds and bird eggs, they get a lot of calcium from the bird eggs. And again, fish, insects, that's all good for them. But I really stay away from rodents for adult animals.
Okay.
Because we were talking, and I guess I didn't really finish that point. I'm good at that. But when they put weight on, it's very hard for them to take that weight off. Now, this is, of course, up to you, because you got them in that position. Now you got to get them out of that position.
Right.
If you have an animal, a monitor that you're going to breed, and he's big and round, and you never see him, more like a cylinder with lateral folds down his sides, you're feeding him way too much and he's too fat, because I've cut open a lot of dead monitors, and these full monitors that are big and full like that, when you cut them open, I guarantee you that when they die before their time, I guarantee you their fat stores are huge, which is very taxing on an animal like this. So you got to cut that back, because these fatty livers and these fat stores lead to kidney diseases and renal failure and things like that. So it's nice to, think you're doing the right thing. Oh, he's
right, giving him a treat because he
sometimes you just gotta it's just like me. If you put Burger King in front of me, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'm eating it. I'm going to be as big as a house, but I'm going to eat it. So my wife's got to tell me, now we're having salad. You know what I'm saying? So it's up to us as custodians of these animals to do what's best for them. I mean, of course, I don't tell anybody to do this or that. All I could say is, if you look in my incubator and you look at my animals, there's the proof that kind of backs up the things that I say. So, and again, it takes years to develop this, and I'm happy to share with anybody because I love these animals so much. And not only do I love animals so much, I like mostly some people, not all people. I mean,
Look,
and I
hey,
want
I'm making
whether
love.
I
I
whether
love
I like
animals
you or I
too.
don't like you, I want you to be happy with your animal and your animal to be happy with you. That makes me
Right.
happy. So,
Yep. So I definitely, one of the things that I'm glad I did was I always, even when he was a baby, I gave him a variety. So he will eat almost anything. Nothing. I've never seen my mom just say, "No, I'm not eating that." So the quail is a big hit for him. He when quail is coming, he just start walking over there. And salmon. He likes salmon. Now, not the I don't, like the whole salmon with the skin and all of that.
right.
But let me tell you, in my mind, for a long time, I cut the skin off because I thought he might choke. Am I just crazy?
You're crazy.
Okay. So
Let
I
me ask you
finally got
this.
to the point now I don't cut the skin off anymore.
Right. When I see people feeding, um, you know, like human grade chicken legs and
No.
chicken wings and
Mm-mm.
breast and stuff like that. I'm like, man, how much do you pay for that in a store? So why don't you just go? I mean, everybody, I don't care if you live in a big city, everyone's got a 4-H club or something like that where you'll find
Yep.
somebody who's breeding chickens and whatnot. Get a smaller chicken, throw the whole thing to them because connective tissue, brain matter, gut content, um,
Mm-hmm.
bone, muscular, all parts of the body is used in some way. So to give them just, you know, when you think about a chicken leg, it's bone, connective tissue, and muscle.
Mm-hmm.
They need liver, they need brain, they need the eye, they need skin, they need like even fish. When you feed them, I know a lot of people that take scissors and they cut the fins off the fish. I'm like, wow, man, that animal, he would love you out in the wild. All you got to do is sit by the pond, and when he catches the fish, tell him to bring it over so you can cut the fins off. Trust me, they don't have a problem dealing with catching animals and eating them whole.
So that's what I love about. So it makes me feel better when I go to the Asian market for his food
Mm-hmm.
because I don't feel the need to do any of that because it's like his food.
Yep.
And sometimes when I would go there, the lady be like, "What are you feeding?" I'll be like, "A water monitor," and she gets so excited. So now when I go, she'll actually like have food like this is the food for Larry. Like she'll give me different things that she believes is really good for him. Like
Right.
even when you talk about the chicken livers, because I used to like buy the chicken livers, and she will give me I forget the name of the bird. It's some type of bird that is from it's from Asia, but she talks about the liver content of this bird, and so she literally sets that stuff in a basket, and when I go, I just pay for it, and this is all his food he's going to eat for the week. So that's why the Asian store is a better choice for me because I don't feel the need to change anything, like
Yep.
cutting off the skin or anything like that.
No, definitely not. They use it all. There's all kinds of vitamins, minerals, and oils in fish skin, and they need it. So, um, you know, a lot of people too, they they're looking for cost effectiveness. Man, if you're looking for cost effectiveness, you need to get maybe a guinea pig or a rabbit or
Right.
something that has processed foods. But reptiles have no business eating processed foods. Occasionally a little bit of turkey roll or not. I don't not like lunch meat. I mean like ground turkey, and you make a little roll out of it. That's
Mm-hmm.
okay, but it's. I mean, you could just get a quail and feed them a whole quail. So all that, and I'll tell you another thing too. With all that mash diet, like turkey diet and things like that, you clean up enough of that poop and you'll
Yep.
stop eating that stuff in a hurry
Yep.
because man, that is a mess. It's a mess going in and it's a bigger mess coming out.
Yeah. And it makes a big difference. So that's what I was saying. Like I noticed that. Like the Asian food, he digests it totally different. Like
Yep.
it comes out not all watery. It's like little. It comes out as poop, and it's easier filtered out of his pool and everything through the filter system.
Yep.
Because I was telling somebody on a podcast, they were saying, no, every Asian water monitor enclosure is dirty. Not mine. Like, I mean, he has dirt that he, throw around, but his water is clear. I can go right there and show you. His water is clear because of the filter system that we have on. I also have like little cleansing pellets that I put in there every 2 weeks that helps condition the water and everything. And I don't know if it's because mine is a male. He doesn't get as dirty as I thought he would, far as actually digging. Like he has a big dig box in there, plenty of dirt. You very seldom see him over there. You see him like digging in the plots, like the flower, the plants and stuff like that. He'll just turn all that dirt out. But he doesn't spend a lot of time. So is there a difference between a female and a male's behavior when it comes to digging?
Absolutely. Yeah. A female digs for a whole different set of purpose, as well as the same reason a male will dig. A male will dig to find a prey item. He'll dig to, escape some extreme weather, heat, whatever the case may be. Female will do all that, but a female will also dig for nesting, obviously. And so when a female digs, she's digging for a purpose, but in addition to what the male's digging for, his purpose, while she's digging, she's collecting data in her head. She's like, wow, the soil here is a good humidity. It's a good temperature. It's too cold. I don't want to dig here no more. Or I could dig here for food, but I don't want to lay my eggs here. So while they're digging for whatever reason they're digging, for shelter or for food or for whatever the case may be, they're also collecting data. Hey, this is a great spot. When I have eggs, this is where I'm coming. So, and I also, pardon?
I was saying hi to Keisha.
Oh, hi, Keisha.
She said, nice to meet you, Mike.
Yeah, you too. Hey, if you guys ever see me at any of these shows, come up and say hi. I probably won't remember your names because I'm terrible like that. I did a lot of partying when I was young, so my brain cells are a little scattered. But in the end, probably 3-4 times I'll remember your name finally. But yeah, shoot, what was I saying?
You were talking about the different reasons why they dig. The male is digging for a hole and to collect data, and the female's digging for collecting data.
Right. They're digging for males. It has a purpose. The purpose is generally either shelter, escape, or for food. Where a female is doing all of that as well, but in her brain, she's collecting data. She's like, okay, well, here's a too dry spot. I would never want to come back here and lay eggs. So they learn all that. They retain that. Like we were saying, they're highly intelligent animals. And so people see my enclosures and they see, the Mertens water tub, that's 300 gallons of water. Well, all of my enclosures have one of those or less tubs in there. The Mertens is full of water, and the other one in the Mertens cage it's 70 gallons worth of water, but that's got dirt in it. That's where they lay their eggs. So these huge enclosures with that, it's 5 by 4 by 2 feet deep. People always ask me, oh man, you got to dig all that up to find eggs. I'm like, yeah, you know what? No, I don't, because I heat one side of it. So while they may dig everywhere, I never have to look for eggs away from the heater, because the heater, it heats the soil from anywhere from say 95 degrees against the wall where I have my cane heat mat. And then the heat transfers out my room stays at 82 degrees. So anywhere in there, the dirt is going to be between 78 and 82 degrees, but only near where the heater is at does it go from 95, which is way too hot for them to nest, but it radiates out till they find what they're looking for. And they're usually looking for 84 degrees. 84 to 85 degrees is 90% of the time. That's exactly where I find my eggs, is at 84 degrees.
Okay, so
you can, what I'm trying to get, the point I'm trying to make here is you can pinpoint where they're going to lay their eggs by where you place your heater. It makes things real easy.
So what type of monitors? I know the Mertens because I watched so many videos on them. Other than the Mertens, what are your favorite monitors to keep?
Well, my favorite species to keep of all time is Varanus similis, spotted tree monitors from New Guinea and northern Australia. They, to me, I'm a black and white kind of guy. I like the color combo. I got an old Schwinn Stingray bicycle. It's black and white. I used to have a G. Everything I get, I try to it's either black or white or black and white. So these things are just perfect. They're black and white lizards. They're dwarf monitors in the Audatria family. They get, maximum size about 24 inches. So they're really, I don't know, where am I at? 24 inches. So they're a real nice, manageable size, super beautiful animals. And man, forgive my language, these things have got balls. I don't care what they come up against. They are not afraid of anything. I mean, they're not dumb. They're not going to, stay there and be attacked. But say a bird of prey was to pin an adult down. That bird of prey, he's, most animals work and try to flee. Similis, he'll fight. He's going to fight. And they're just so bold and brazen and beautiful. I love them. That's my favorite species. I used to work with them years and years ago. I never had any success with them. It's a real tricky species. I don't believe anybody in the United States has, solved the puzzle. I'm working on it now. I just wound up. God loves me, man. I can't brag about my God, the Lord Jesus Christ. So after years and years, and it's hard to find Varanus similis. It's always been hard. Right now, it's very, very hard to find them. So I put an ad in one of my fauna and morph market things maybe a couple of years ago, and I said, hey, baby Mertens monitors, blah, 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 possibly interested in trading for Varanus similis. Couple of years go by, nobody everybody, hey, I'll trade you a ball python. Nah, get out of here. I would have asked. So out of the clear blue sky, I get a thing, and somebody says, hey, I have a similis monitor. Would you be interested in trading? And I'm like, well, yeah, sure. So we worked out a deal, and I got that male similis monitor, got it home, and for 3 days I was just going goo-goo. I love these things so much. So now here's where God comes in. 2 days later, 3 days later, whatever it was, a guy contacts me again on email or text, whatever it was. And he goes, hey, I have a Varanus similis. I was just wondering, would you be interested in trading? And I'm like, well, because I already got a male, so 90% of them you find are males. I'm like, yeah, send me a video. So the guy sends me a video. I click on a video, and 2 seconds into the video, I'm like, thank you, Jesus. It was a female. I could tell. So I called the guy. I tried not to be very anxious, but thank God this guy's not a real deep reptile guy. He's a reptile lover, but he's not all into the scene and everything.
That's
so,
yeah,
and in talking to him, I'm like, hey, send me your phone number. I would like to talk to you about it. Not knowing where, I figure, who knows where this guy's at. So he sends me his phone number, same area code as mine. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I called him up. He goes, oh yeah, I live in Naperville. So he's basically a few towns away from me. And so we worked out a deal. And from having no similis monitors for years to having a pair within a week, I can only attribute that to my Lord. That's all I can say is that just don't happen. Ask anybody. And so, yeah, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, and then just overall, monitors are hard to breed, aren't they? Well, not for you, for the common person.
Yeah, you know what? I appreciate that, and yeah, they're difficult, but what it boils down to is their support. I mean, if you give them a beautiful cage, or not everybody has beautiful cages. A lot of people do simple, lowest common denominator, and I'm not cracking on anybody, but for example, the guys over at Nerds, they have pretty plain setups with shelving and just unnatural stuff, which is fine. It's really fine. It's just I don't prefer to look at that. I prefer to look at a piece of driftwood as a log or whatever. So as long as you support them well and give them opportunities of heat, of humidity, of space, of food, always variety, always options. And if you support them like that and let them be monitors, they do what they do. I don't like to, I try to stay humble. And so I don't feel I do anything special, but support them well. Anybody ask me what I do, like snakes, there's a formula. You cool them down a couple of months, you bring them back up, you slowly feed them, first shed, throw the male in there, and you'll get breeding. What I've found is if you support them well, like you always got to think like an animal. And in doing so, you think like an animal. Some of these animals come from places that they don't have cool seasons and dry seasons. They have wet seasons and dry seasons, or have wet seasons and really wet seasons. So what triggers their reproductive is they want to be successful. So they're looking to lay their eggs, and they're looking for their eggs to hatch when it's most successful for them. So basically what I do in my house is I run my animals like in the time of plenty, always. I don't cool them. I don't heat them. I run everything that keeps them running optimally. But now also when you do that with super high temperatures, people don't believe, and I show pictures. Anybody wants to know, I have pictures of all this stuff. Super high temperatures that people are like, nowhere does it get that hot. I'm like, dude, where do you live? And the guy says, I live in Pittsburgh. I said, okay, in August, take your temperature gun and go shoot your driveway. Tell me how hot that is. Yep. Oh my God, it's almost 200 degrees. Okay, now imagine that in Australia or in New Guinea. It's going to be a lot hotter than that. Now, I'm not saying that they go to these temperatures and they sit there, but they don't have to. They get their bodies up to their optimum temperatures for breaking down food, for building egg stores, for doing all that. And it might be 15 minutes. I have Mertens that bask at 150 degrees, and they'll bask there for, 40 minutes, a half hour, 45 minutes, long periods of time in this super high heat. And a lot of people, they think like I don't know what's the term, gatekeeping or something like that. I'm not hiding nothing from nobody. I want everybody to produce good animals, and it's just your willingness to support these animals. Monitors, unlike snakes, you can go away for the long weekend. You can stay out till 2 a.m. and do nothing with them the next day. Monitors, you can't do that. Yeah. Especially if you're running them high octane like I run mine. You don't have a day off. You're running them optimally, so you're getting a lot of poop. You're doing a lot of feeding. It's cleaning, maintenance, and feeding, and they do the rest. So I guess if there is a recipe or a formula for breeding monitors, is run them optimally and support that. Feeding them, cleaning them, changing their waters, spraying their cage down. Not, I'll get to it tomorrow. No, you got to get to it today with monitors. Monitors are an everyday deal.
Yep. So that was another thing I was telling my husband about the size that I wanted the water monitors to be. So in his enclosure, he has different temperatures.
Hi, Christina.
From 85 degrees to 150.
Absolutely.
And
Perfect.
he will go to whatever spot he wants to be in at that particular time. And the same for humidity. He has humidity spots anywhere from 55 up to 90. Very seldom do I see him in that 90 spot unless that's right in the pool, like if he's closer to the pool. But
Right.
his ideal humidity spot when he's shedding is anywhere between 60 and 75. Like, I pay attention. This is why I have the cameras, because even when I'm not in there, I like to see what's happening at night. I like to see what's happening during the day, how he reacts when nobody's home.
Right.
Like all of that type of stuff. So for me, I think that's where, when you talk about the enclosure, size is most important to give them the ideal spots. So not like a snake. A snake, you give them a hot spot here and a cool spot there. With the monitor, it seems that they need the ideal spot for the ideal opportunity for what they're doing ideally at the time.
Man, you hit the nail right on the head. That's how it is. That's why when I say to people, it's all about options. And, I have cages that are huge, and I have cages that are as small as these tiny little Exoterras. And they're like, well, you can't have a thermal gradient in there. I'm like, but I do. I mean, I have, you can go horizontally with a thermal and humidity gradient like you're talking about, or you can go vertical with it too. A lot of my Australian desert monitors, I use more of a vertical thermocline, be it humidity and temperature, in a more vertical situation, where the larger monitors, they're more all on a horizontal type thermocline. But you can achieve it in any size enclosure. You just got to be smart with your heat placement and your, the way you're spraying your enclosure, the way it's drying out, and also, monitors you can't put in a tank with a screen top, because that's basically, it's a beef jerky machine. It's you have to cover that top to keep the heat and humidity in. And when you do that, even with lower wattage bulbs, you'll find a big difference by covering the top in humidity and temperature.
Yeah, I mean, again, and Christina said it earlier. I know for me, and I can't speak for everybody, and I always thought you were very humble. I've been watching your videos for years. Even with the build. So I think my monitor is, my husband will remember better, but I know that it's 12 feet high and it's 12 feet long. I'm not sure the depth. I want to say the depth is definitely smaller than the 12 and the 12 this way.
Right.
But what I think that it gave us the opportunity to do is give him not just the different temperature gradients, especially in the wintertime here. This is where I got to be very careful with him. Like, there's all kinds of sensors in there because, Maryland in the wintertime, that garage, if the proper heating systems are not working, will drop to like 60. And the tables will be fine.
Yeah.
But he will not.
No.
So, and it's all about my water monitor in there. Like, the tables, they're survivors. Them fools will find a way out into the house and change the temperature if they had to.
I could see you almost slipped there.
But with him, I think that the greatest thing that I learned from you was it doesn't have to be terribly big, but of course, mine is an Asian water monitor, so I wanted to go as big as the space would allow us to go. But just being able to pay attention to his behavior, because his behavior tells me a lot. And I'll give you an example. You were talking about the temperatures, and I wrote that down. My water monitor likes to be at 100 degrees sometimes. I can't,
Yep.
I mean, and I'm not even talking about for basking purposes. I'm just
Right.
talking about, damn it, I just want to sit right here and that thing says 100 degrees. If
Yep.
I didn't pay attention to people like you, I would think that his ambient in any area at 100 degrees will be too hot for him. Now, he also has those cooler spots that are at the bottom, which are like running like 85, 87. And his water temperature, he does not like no less than 82. If you drop it below that, he's not going. You can see the difference. Like he'll come in and swim and run back out. 82
Yep.
and above, he'll literally. And I thought he was drowning one day. And I remember calling Kevin. I said, my water monitor been under the water for like 25 minutes, and he said it's a water monitor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I didn't know, that they could literally want to hover under the water like that. So again, and that's to anybody. I know Maki was saying that I'm gonna make you want to get one. So, and she said something very important. Monitors are not cheap animals, not for feeding, not for proper and ideal breeding, and not for time. You gotta give them a lot of time in order for them to be happy. It's not even about me. Like what you said, he is not happy if he's not getting his attention.
Right.
And that's just not fair to a monitor to me.
Right. Well, I got it. Does Gavin know how to play the guitar or anything?
Actually, he can do music really good. But
I was gonna say he's got to go in there with a guitar and sing some Bob Marley to Larry. And
I finally got my husband to touch a ball python for my birthday. Larry totally intimidates him. Now he likes to watch him. Like he'll come stand in the enclosure and watch him like do things. Right. I don't ever see him picking them up. Now for me, as soon as I go in there, that's the first thing I do. I go in there, Larry, where you at? When I see where he at, pick him up, and I'm sitting there hugging the monitor. But even that, people ask, why? How can you do that without getting scratched up? Oh, when he was younger, I would always go in there with like a hoodie, and I taught him that hurts. In my mind, I told him, no, Larry, no, and now I can go in there with short sleeves on and hug him without him scratching me all up. Now, there's times that he might want to move fast and it's going to happen, but it's nothing where he's doing it while he's on me.
Right. And I'm glad you said that because somebody had recently, I'm in all the monitor groups on Facebook and all that stuff. Somebody had said to me, oh, when we go to Tinley Park, all the monitor guys are going to get together and we're going to see who's got the most scratch up arms. I'm like, well, I'm going to lose that contest because my animals don't claw me up because like you say, you went in there and you think you taught him not to claw you up. Believe me, he could claw you up. You learned, you've learned how to handle that animal without him being scared to where he's just clutching you like you're a log. So when they feel comfortable with you, like look at my arms. I got no claw marks, no scratches. I handle my monitors all the time. Not like handling like, I don't put them on my shoulder and bring them out like in a stroller and on a leash, all that stuff. But yeah, when I got to take them out and handle them, they'll crawl right up my arm. And because they're comfortable, they're just walking on me. When they're not comfortable, that's when they want to hold on to a log or a branch or a surface of something. So if they're comfortable with you and you're comfortable with them, again, your energy that you're putting out to Larry is everything's okay, everything's calm. Yes, and like you said, he might get spooked every now and then and do a little racing, but if you resist them and you're nervous, they're going to claw you up. And it's not they're trying to claw you up. They're just trying to move in a more precise way.
With very big claws.
And very big claws. And as you know, a monitor's claws, there's a point on the end, and then there's a little slice on the back. And if you ever look at old-fashioned can opener, that's it. They punch a hole, and then they use the underside of their nail to tear. So knowing that and knowing your animals, and I don't mean just any animals, all monitors, even big wild-caught animals, if you handle them the proper way, you're not going to get clawed up. Even a tame animal, if you're getting clawed up, you're holding them wrong. Bottom line, it's that simple.
That makes sense. That makes pretty good sense. And that changed as he got older. So it also ties into his confidence. I don't have to be too defensive or nervous or anything like that. And my confidence, because believe it or not, I like dealing with him at the larger size than I even did when he was a little baby. So it's because he would get spooked easily when he was a baby, and I used to hate it because sometimes he'll poop. He'll just poop out of nowhere.
Yep.
But now he doesn't do stuff like that. Thank God, because I definitely wouldn't want him to poop on me now.
You know that's funny you say that. That when they poop on you like that and they spray, and they're nervous and they're running and they're tearing at you, and then they poop on you, that's a defense mechanism, because where they come from in the wild, if you got a terrible cut like that or deep scratches and you had wild caught monitor poop in your cuts and in your scratches, you're going to get a secondary infection. You're going to need medication. You're going to need doctor attention. So it's kind of a defense mechanism for them as well. If something grabs them in the wild, they tear at them and then they'll spray shit on them. And in the end, that animal might go for 2-3 weeks sitting under a palm frond or something, nursing their wounds, licking them clean. Well, the next time they see a monitor, they remember that and they're like, well, I'm not going to even mess with that. So it's a defense mechanism as well.
What is your thoughts on introducing? So right now I have a male water monitor. Let's say if I wanted to get a female to pair and breed him with later on down the line.
Yep.
Is it safe to get a female as a baby, raise her up and put him in there, or should I get a female already ready to breed and introduce them?
That's a tough question.
Okay.
You're probably better off getting something out of the hatchling stage. So something that's already like, okay, you're talking about water monitor. How big is Larry right now?
Larry is just over 2 years old. I would say he's about
okay.
3.
Okay, well then you're in good shape, because you probably could go with a hatchling and in another 2 years have a good introduction. The best thing that I could say, whether you do it the way we talked about, or if you get something that's of similar size or bigger or just smaller, the best thing to do, and I learned this years and years ago, is a friend of mine went to the Rotterdam Zoo in Germany, and he's showing me all these pictures, and I'm looking at these pictures, and I'm like, of course these are zoo setups, and I'm like, hey, what's that? He goes, well, that's a pass-through. So I created pass-throughs in some of my enclosures as too. I hear that frogs are.
Yeah.
No, I would stay away from any type of amphibians for sure, because they have internal parasites, and there's some frog skins are poisoned, and it's just not good. I mean, in the wild, that's a whole different situation. In captivity, they don't have all that gut flora and fauna that they do in the wild that breaks that stuff down, that kills that stuff, and they're able to live with it in the wild. In captivity, they don't have that. So I'd avoid any kind of wild caught prey items from outside. So back to the pass-through. If you have 2 big water monitors and you just try to introduce them, I just went through this with a good friend of mine here, and man, it could be very dangerous. One or the other animal could, in a blink of an eye, be dead. So if you put a pass-through in your enclosure in an area where they can both comfortably smell each other and see each other, and they can smell the air and taste the air, they get to know each other. Now you open the pass-through and you watch them closely. You stay right there, and until you know your animals, of course, and you watch their interactions. If you see aggressive behaviors, you got to separate them. But confuse aggressive behaviors with breeding behaviors, because breeding can be a little aggressive at times. It doesn't really happen much here, but it can, and that's something that they have to work out on their own, and they do cues, they do it with smell. So that's why the pass-through is so important. They can get all done. They can get all that understanding of each other. They can get that done without having immediate access to each other. And then when you do open the pass-through, it's not like, oh, a new thing. They know each other. They smell each other. They see each other. And it's more like just okay, it's time. You know, I smell her. She's in a cycle. I want to breed. And generally what happens is, even if the male is a little aggressive, she's in a cycle. She knows she's smelling, very good to a male. And the male is being aggressive because he wants to breed. And generally, females are really, really tough. But when they're in a breeding cycle, when they're going through a reproductive event, that inhibition lowers because they know all I got to do is, forgive me if this sounds crazy, all I got to do is give it up, and this guy's going to be happy. He's going to go away and leave me alone. Right. But if your female is resistant to the male, now you got to really watch it. That's saying she's not ready and she's not willing to submit. When she's willing to submit, there's usually no problems breeding, no aggression.
So is it any detriment to the health of a male if I never breed him ever?
No,
okay.
No. But I mean, so here's a story. Way back in, I don't know, in the 90s, I believe it was, I had, again, this is going back to the availability of animals now is much greater than it used to be. Yeah, it used to be before the internet and stuff, far and few between. You know, you had to know this person and that person. And, you know, it was all networking like by telephone and email and stuff. So I had one green tree monitor, and he's a big adult, very nice. I called him G Monkey because he was on my shoulder when I was working with all the other animals. He was like having a parent. He would just sit on my shoulder. I could go to the park with my kids, and he would never jump my shoulder. And if he did, he'd go do what he had to do. And when I went to him, he'd come right back to me. So it was a few years I had him, and I couldn't find a female green tree monitor to save my life. I had 1.2 black tree monitors. So I'm cleaning the black tree monitor cage one day, and G Monkey's sitting on my shoulder, and I'm like, "What's up, G?" He's getting all like weird and excited and stuff. Well, the doors were open on the black tree enclosure, and I had the male out for whatever reason, and G Monkey jumped into the black tree enclosure, and he started courting a female black tree. And before I know it, they locked up, and I'm like, oh man, because hybridization in the monitor world is really frowned upon. I'm starting to see it more and more right now, and I'm not with it. I don't like it. I mean, if you're doing color morphs or something, which I don't care about either, that's great. But hybridizing one species to another species, that's in my opinion, it's immoral. You lose track of your genetics, and by the time you sell an animal that's whatever, we'll say whatever, we'll use the green tree and the black tree because I don't want to upset nobody. Okay, down the road, you're selling that animal to somebody and they know it's a 50-50 cross. Now then that person gets sick of it and he sells it as a whatever. Well, now that person says, oh, that's a green tree monitor. Like, yeah, you forgot the 50% Bacari. So you lose the track of that genetics. And then when you want pure animals, like right now, I would love to have truly pure Varanus flavirufus. And because of some breeding that took place, back in the 90s, there's triple hybrids. And so to a true pure 100% Varanus flavirufus is really, you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. Australia doesn't let any clean animals out. So what we have here is what we have here. And you could try to breed that out, but you'll never truly know. So that's why I don't like the hybridization. But my buddy Green G Monkey, he jumped in there and he locked up with the female black tree. And like you were just saying about Larry, I'm looking at him like, get it, boy. I'm glad. I mean, at least he experienced it, right? So that female, she started to swell and she was gravid, but I didn't keep them together. and she's in with other male black trees. So she laid this clutch, and she laid the clutch, no problem. I throw it in the incubator. She's a black tree, and G Monkey's a green tree. So her eggs, when those 3 eggs hatched, they came out green. I was like, wow, G Monkey did it. So he did it, and we found out that that's a viable hybrid. Never did it again. I would never do it again. And so yeah, it's not necessary. But when you look at Larry, sometimes like sounds to me like you really understand your animal by reading his cues and everything. Which people always say, "Oh, how do you know?" I don't. Read the animal. You don't. The animal will tell you. I said, I'm not the pro. They are pros. I'm good at reading them. So when they're saying something to me through body language or position in their enclosure, that gives me a cue of, okay, that's too hot. He wants it lower temps, or he wants more temps, more humidity. So when one day you're going to look over there and Larry's going to have that look on his face like, So I personally believe it's not necessary, but I believe they all should get to experience life events. You know, that's what they're here for. They're here to reproduce. So,
is there any monitor lizard that can cohab together? Because I think there is smaller, like tree monitors. Can they cohab?
When you mean cohab, you're talking about separate species?
Live in the same enclosure.
Separate species?
Same species.
Oh, same species. Yeah, I prefer to keep all my stuff in groups or pairs.
Okay.
Definitely. Okay. Because again, you get to read their behaviors towards each other. Then when it is time for breeding, they know each other. They know each other's little quirks, and everything goes much easier. Now I found that with water monitors, especially cohabbing 2 females, it ain't going to work because the 2 females, for some reason, and I'm sure it's resource guard, they want the most food to, excel their species. They want the best basking spot to excel their species. They want the best place to nest. So with another female in there, it's competition. Males are just like, dogs or human males. They're just big, dumb. And if there's a bigger male around, he can have it. He's got the, you know what I mean? And he'll just go away. Where females, they'll resource guard to the death. So I found that with tree monitors, I've kept 1.2 together. Kimberly Rock monitors, Gill and I, Kingorum, almost everything. My Mertens, I keep my Mertens in a group. I have a raise up group. It's 2.3, and they get along like peas in a pod. The females, everybody's good. Certain species, like I was saying, the Australian dwarfs, they don't care. I've had, 2.3 groups of Kimberly Rocks, Gill and I, Kingorum. What else have I had? Pilbarensis. They're all pretty good that way. But again, you have to support that too.
Yeah. Because I was getting ready to say, taking care of how many monitors do you have? You probably don't know the exact number, but what's the close estimate of how many total you have?
Okay, well, I just downgraded. I guess you'd call it. I just downgraded because like 2 years ago, me and my family, we bought a boat, and the first year we were fishing, swimming, doing everything, and then my Audatrias started breeding real hot and heavy. They lay eggs every 2-3 months. They hatch every 2-3 months. It was just a lot of work. So the next year we went on the boat twice. So this year I decided I'm going to quit being a slave to these animals and just work with what I really, like, and not have it so much like work, still enjoying what I do. So I went from 9 species down to 4 species. So I guess at one time I had, well over 100 animals and hatchlings and babies coming up. But right now I have 4 species. probably 20 to 30 animals, including hatchlings and babies.
Wow.
So it's very manageable.
And there goes to what Tim said earlier. So Tim said that's the other importance of having the 8 children, because you learned how to build because you had to build houses for all of them. I know Keisha. So Keisha was saying that she never thought that they would be good cohabiting. So, and I asked that question particularly, Keisha, because I wondered like how, even though Gigi and Kobe are in 2 separate enclosures, they are playing together a whole lot. Like I take them everywhere. They got their little bags. We go to the barbershop with my son. We go shopping, all of that. Larry, I wasn't sure how that would work if I got another water monitor, because I would only be able to get another water monitor if she's gotten bigger and could be in the same enclosure with him. Because how they're set up now, there is no more space. I would have to wait until I got a whole nother house if they had to have 2 separate big enclosures like his. And there's no other way for me. I was saying to somebody before, there's certain animals for me. Like, as much as I want an alligator, I know that it would have to be a place where I can have a big pond, a fence, and I'm not talking about an enclosure. I mean, an outdoor event and set up for him, because it's a damn alligator.
Yeah.
And if I can't give him that, no matter how much I want it, I just can't never have one. It is so fulfilling when you see your animal just look happy. And you can tell when lizards are happy. They are very active. They're doing things like Larry. Sometimes we got all of these different, my husband, he did really good. You have to, Mike, if you never saw the video, you got to go on my channel and look at anything with Larry. It's the thing that I'm most proud of in this house.
As soon as we get done, I'm going.
You have to, and give me your opinion. Let me know. The only thing he doesn't have is the zoo epoxy, but watch what my husband did instead. And that's because my husband he wanted to get it done, and he didn't want to have to wait the different levels of drying and all that stuff. But when you see Larry hopping around, and I have a video showing like some of the things he do at night, and go from one side, climb over here, come down here, swim through here, come back up here. It shows you how much, even by himself at that moment, he's enjoying the habitat. I hate to see a big lizard, and not just that, and people know I don't like this about retics either, that just look miserable in their space, because they can't do the things that they normally would do, because we have them in these small spaces.
Right. Yep.
And so I think it was Elias. I watched all of Mike's videos before I even got the water monitor. So he's on YouTube. So definitely, if you want to learn anything, go to YouTube. One of the videos that you did that I felt like you gave a lot of detail on the enclosures and the why you do a lot of things was the one with Dave Kaufman, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he had came to your facility, and even down to, like I said, the filter in the heating system. Some people are literally taking, and I'm not knocking anyone, I'm just saying where, again, you want to make it, like Mike said, you want to make it where you still passionate about the animal, and not that you're doing so much work every day that the animal become a burden. So that's why I feel that you have to invest in the proper filter system, not just any filter system. How many gallons is this? What does this filter system do? How should I monitor the pH of the water? Like all of that. It is very important. And if you're not going to be able to do that, and I will say this, Mike, you are the reason why my animal has everything that he has. Well, down to that heater with the internal thermostat, like that thing will beep if he moves it a certain way, will beep if the temperature goes there. Just so many things that just watching your channel that I learned that it's beneficial. And so you said earlier that you don't consider yourself a monitor whisperer.
No.
People call me a retic whisperer. And I know what you mean. You don't consider yourself that because you just learned the animal. But I will say this, and I had to accept it. I don't have one reticulated python that I can't manage. I don't have one reticulated python that I don't understand. I don't have one reticulated python that I'm intimidated by. I don't have one reticulated python that doesn't show its intelligence. Now, when it comes to lizards, I haven't, I don't feel like I've mastered the water monitor like someone like you have, you know, or the Kevins, you know, anyone who deal with monitors and specialize in them. I know Larry because I know Larry. So I know that even if I was to introduce a female and a male reticulated python, I would know that behavior off the bat. I don't know those things about monitors yet. The Tagles, yes, because they're always with me all the time. But the water monitor is the only one I ever owned.
Yeah.
And I really learned everything that I know about them from him. He's a happy monitor, I can tell you that.
Yeah,
and
you're
getting strong.
You're doing great. And you saying that you see his happiness and your cage size and all the other things that you're doing for him, you're doing very well with them. Again, we were talking about cage size and this and that and intelligence. It really hurts me to see, you know, people who go to a show and they want to monitor, okay? And, you know, right away they dig in their pocket, they pull out their little bit of money and they're like, oh, what? There's a Nile monitor or a Savannah monitor for $15. That's only the beginning, dude. But the problem is they spent so little money on it that if they were to spend $1,500 on a Savannah monitor, I bet you they wouldn't put it in a 20-gallon tank with a screen top. Right. So, and to me, the $15 Savannah monitor, the $15 Nile monitor, that's a sin to me, because then the people, they don't have enough invested in it to do what's right. So they think, you know what? If it dies, it's only $15. Dude, are you kidding me? That's an animal. And if you wouldn't have spent your $15 on it, it may have had a shot at a good life. And even if you did spend $15 on it, still put the thousands into the enclosure and the food and the time. And now you're way ahead of the game. You've got a beautiful animal that's thriving and doing well, and you only paid $15 for it. Don't think of it the other way. Well, if it died, no, because you know what? You'll never get to the level of buying quality animals or captive born animals if you don't. And everybody's got to start somewhere. I get that, but if you're not going to do for a $15 monitor, you sure in the hell ain't going to do it for a $1,500 monitor. You need to work your way up through the ranks, through the $15 monitors, up to the $80, $120, and then you're getting into the $500, $700, $250. $2,500. You're getting up into the big leagues with animals that deserve your time and your work and your effort. And to me, even a $15 Nile monitor deserves 100% from you. And if you can't do that, get a Tokay gecko or something that doesn't mind being in a 10-gallon tank.
Right.
Even
Tim, I don't know if Tim's still in the chat. Tim has Niles, and Niles is a Nile monitor. And when I tell you that Tim has done amazing with, he inherited Niles. So Niles was off the chain. He's still off the chain. But to see how Tim gives him, he's still here. He gives him all of his time to try to condition him to be a better temperament monitor. The bills that he plans for him, everything. The relationship is hysterical. So another channel to watch is Intrepid Exotics. When it comes to watching Tim and Niles, is hysterical to me. Some days Niles is the sweetest thing ever. The next day Niles is just being all mean, but Tim is still loving him so much.
Yeah. See, with Nile monitors too, I mean that is an impressive beast of an animal. If you can get through, and even these caging requirements that I try to put out to the people who buy from me, if you use that on a $15 Nile monitor, by the time it gets 2 feet, man, your $15 Nile monitor is going to be worth, you know, $200-400 because it's tame. It's not, I don't mean tame. It's tolerant of human presence. Right. It's not afraid of you. And man, you talk about a big, impressive animal, do them right and they'll do you right. And if you do it with Nile monitors,
you can do it with anything.
Well, yeah, and you got a $15 animal that's only going to go up in value if you do it right. Like,
yeah,
I have a friend.
I think that's so true, so true.
Yeah, I have a friend out here, Brian Waterloo. He's a good close buddy of mine. I've known him for years. He's another, you know, very good monitor breeder. And he loves Nile monitors. He loves Nile monitors. And I always used to say, oh, man, you get that cheap Nile monitor. And, you know, we talk about it all the time. And then, like, when I would see his Nile monitors, I'm like, oh, now I understand. If you do them right, they're going to wind up just like any other monitor. But, you know, again, people don't do them right from when they're small. So when they're 2 feet long, they still want to kill you. That's just it's any animal.
Yeah, and it's funny when you talk about what you pay. So Larry is probably one of the most expensive animals I have in here. Of course, he was from Nerd, and he was already socialized, and I just had to keep him that way. That's another thing people don't realize. You can buy a socialized monitor and make him unsocial if you don't keep him socialized. So we were on vacation one time, and his temperature alert went off, and it was the winter. And my husband looked at me and said, "We're going to leave?" I said, "Absolutely. He costs more than this vacation."
That's right. That's right. He'll be around a lot longer too. So
we gotta go.
Yeah.
And
I've been there.
We got home.
I've been there so many times. We were on vacation, me and my wife, and we were. Well, I'm from Wisconsin, the border of Illinois and Wisconsin. And she has a friend that we went to visit way up in Michigan. Well, I had a gravid. This was the first time my Mertens, one of my females, was gravid. So, you know, it was only a long weekend. But I'm like, you know, I'm calling my kids, hey, you know, go take a picture. Let me see what's going on. And I don't have the cameras. I'm not fancy like you. So.
No, I'm obsessed.
Okay. So. Yeah, unfortunately, and I still feel bad about it to this day. That was my first clutch of Mertens ever, and we cut the vacation short by like 1 day. And when I got home, it was 2 days after we got home. So we could have finished out the vacation, but like you said, it's your baby. It's you know, you got so much invested in it, and it's, you know, the vacation will go again. So.
And so this is an example. Let me see if I can, let's see what he's doing now. I was hoping to see. So the camera is very cheap. It's a wide camera.
Okay.
But I can see everything all the time, and it's a camera on each side. So I was trying to see if he was actually in the water or out. He might be. Hold on. It's kind of hard to see on the phone. Yeah, if he's in the water, he's under the water. I don't know where he's at right now. He might be on the floor. That's the only place I don't have the camera pointed right now. But he literally, sometimes watching this video, I can see if he's sitting here, for example, and just staring down in the water. And if he comes down and go in that water and come right back out, it tells me something is wrong with that water. Something is not necessarily wrong, but something about the water is not perfect for him. Because if he comes down and go in there, Larry swims. Like, he swims for a minute. Like, he can go 30-something minutes and then just come up out the water again. So the cameras for me is more of, number one, I always say, and, you know, YouTube, don't get mad at me. This is not the house you want to come in to try to steal anything.
Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah,
We got you.
I know.
So that's one of the reasons the cameras are there. And I can see the temperatures too. So like if when we were away and the alarm go off, I can look at each one of his thermostats from that camera to see if it's really, really urgent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or if you could wait.
Time. Yeah, does
Yeah.
he have a hot spot? Is his basking spot still on? That type of thing. But every animal has a camera on them. But that Wise camera is only like $40. But you can play back things. Like say if you miss something, you can go back to the exact time and see what happened. I like to watch him eat sometimes. I feed my monitor at night. So I feed all the lizards at night. And I just like to see him sometimes just how he acts with his food, you know.
Right.
The fish, for example, when we talk about natural habitats, sometimes Larry will take the fish out the bowl, climb up the little ramp, throw the fish in the water, jump in the water, get the fish, and then eat it.
Yep. That's it. They're smart.
It is hysterical. These are things smart. I wouldn't know, though, if the cameras were not there because, like I said, he's not in the house. He's in the garage. So, well, what used to be the garage. So I wouldn't be able to see all of that. So the cameras are very inexpensive and they're worth it. Like for anybody on any of your animals, like the retics. Retics can open doors. If a retic opens a door, it tells me motion and it lets me know get down here and this one done somehow figure out how to get the door open. So that's why I have them. If they're really not that expensive, they're not that fancy.
Well, you know, here's the thing. I'm a retired cement finisher, so I'm blessed enough to be down there with them, you know, 6-7 hours a day, every day.
One day.
And with you know, knowing their behaviors and everything, when the lights go off, I know everybody's sleeping, you know, unless it's a nesting female. They usually nest at night. Hey, I keep seeing somebody saying, "Is it your birthday?"
No, it's Raina's birthday, and it's somebody's birthday next Friday. My birthday was June 12th.
Oh, well, happy birthday and happy birthday to Raina.
Yes. Welcome. If anybody have any direct questions for Mike, let me know so we can get those questions answered for you. I definitely see Tina in here, and I can see that Tina is a big fan and a follower.
She's a good girl, yeah.
So I did want to ask, when I saw you in Tinley, you had an injury. Are you better now?
No, I that goes way back. When I was 12 years old, I was in a car accident and I broke my femur high up on the head. The head of my femur broke off. So, oh man, it's a long story. So over the next year, I wound up breaking that leg 5 times. So my one leg, my left leg is 2 in my right leg. So, you know, again, that happened when I was a young kid, and they, you know, I wore a lift in my left shoe to keep my hips in line for you know, years and years and years. And then I did concrete for 30 years with that messed up leg. And so my knees are shot, my hip is shot, and the pain in my leg is finally gotten to the point where, you know, I am not a doctor guy. After what I've been through in the 70s when I was a kid, orthopedic surgeries back then were a nightmare. I mean, like Frankenstein stuff. So I don't like going to the doctor. My wife, I guess, sick of seeing me in pain all the time. So I went to see about getting my hip replaced. And because of the way they set my leg, the broken bone, when I was young, there's not a straight shaft to put the hip replacement in. Okay. So they do a thing where they'll take like half of your femur, but the bone density of my left leg is just it's not there. They're afraid that when they push the little spike hip in there, that my bone may shatter or split. So I'm kind of just riding it out right now. Do you know who Dave Palumbo is?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Python guy, bodybuilder, big, strong guy.
Yeah.
He just recently hooked me up with some like supplements, and I'm real skeptical with all that stuff. And I've been in pain so long that I'm sure the pain that I'm in now would probably cripple most people. But I've been dealing with it for so long. It's just whatever it is, but it's getting really bad. So he turned me on to some of his supplements that he sells, and
Okay.
I've been on them probably about a month now. And man, these things work. My knees don't even bother me anymore. My hip is my hip. It's bone on bone, and that's brutal. But yeah, to answer that question, no, I've been messed up for a long time. I'm an orthopedic nightmare.
So it was so funny when we were in Tinley, when I saw you on that Friday, you were up and walking around. And I think it was like that Saturday you was in a wheelchair. I'm like, what happened? And you told me this joke. I don't know if you remember that somebody tried to steal a monitor off your table and you just grabbed the guy and body slammed him. And I'm like, oh my God, really? And you just started laughing because I was believing the whole story.
Yeah.
I can't believe somebody was trying to take his monitor. That's just crazy.
I know. I'm full of lots of stories and stuff, so you can't believe half of the stuff I tell you.
Will you be able to travel to Daytona, or will you be there?
Man, you know what? Probably not, because I can't be away from my animals for quite that long. So I just do the local shows.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna go to the next Monitor Fest we have, that's close. So please, monitorfest.com. That's Brian Waterloo's gig. If you could ever push that out for the next year. Our first one was this past May. And man, you know what it was? We call it Monitor Fest. Anybody could come. I mean, if you're into reptiles and stuff. But there was probably about 60 people that showed up, all great people. And it was just like a cookout. We all just sat around and bullshit and had fun, and we told stories to each other, and patted each other on the back, and and it was just a beautiful thing. So next year, you guys gotta come to it's a great thing. It's only going to get better and better each year. And like Michael Juarez, you know who that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's having the drap party or whatever it is coming week. And I was invited to that, but unfortunately, I can't travel that far and that long. But I'm going to try to make that. I'm going to try to make that one next year. So all the local stuff.
In Tinley again. So
I'll see you there. I look forward to it.
So I have 3 closing questions, and we'll be done. So the first one is, who inspired you with monitors? Who is the person that you look to outside of yourself and like, wow, they taught me this, or wow, when I need to know something, I go to that person?
Okay. I guess in recent times, me and Brian Waterloo, we go way back. So he's always been encouraging and very knowledgeable with monitor lizards behavior and cage builds. He builds some awesome cages too. Another guy is Matthew Kosman. He's a tree monitor guy. He's got a bunch of stuff. But man, anybody who puts in the time and the effort with their enclosures, that impresses me. So, yeah, people who put as much time into their enclosures as they do their animals, that impresses me.
Okay. What do you love the most about the hobby overall, the reptile hobby overall?
Creating naturalistic habitats. That's my forte. That's what I love. I mean, if I would build them even if I had nothing to put them in, even if I had nothing to put in there. I just love, building rock walls and tree branches and, using plants. I love that stuff. It's like art to me.
I mean, it definitely is. And the versatility that is displayed in, and if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, you have to go to even Instagram, more importantly, YouTube, because some of the best videos that I've watched of your facility is on YouTube. And like I said, the one with Dave Kaufman, appreciated the detail that you gave, even down to zoopoxy, the why of, why this one is built this way for this monitor, but this one is built this way for that monitor. Just amazing.
Well,
what state? Mike is in Illinois. Mike, you're in Chicago, right?
Well, I grew up in Chicago, but now I'm in Trever, Wisconsin. So I'm on the border of Illinois and Wisconsin. I'm an hour north of Chicago and an hour south of Milwaukee. It's a beautiful spot. I live in the woods. I got only a couple neighbors. It's nice and quiet. I love it.
Good for you. GCG said, I love Mike's enclosures. Yeah, you I mean, they're definitely state of the art, out of this world.
Appreciate that.
Everyone is unique. It's just amazing, and it's very inspiring.
Yeah, just so you know, Dave's coming here again for a follow-up video. I've changed quite a bit. I've gotten rid of 5 species of monitors, so I really kicked up all the other stuff, the 4 species that I still have. I've made some new enclosures. My Similis monitor enclosure is like my Sistine Chapel, if you will. My Mertens monitor enclosure is gorgeous. It's off the chain. But my new Similis monitor enclosure it's just mind-blowing. And everything from the removable arboreal termite mound nest box, everything in there has a purpose. It's not just done. It's done right, and there's a purpose behind, 80% of everything in my enclosure. So if you check out my YouTube channel, you'll pick up on some of that stuff. And again, I'm always happy to answer questions.
Very detailed, and amazingly that you can do all of that in pain.
Yeah.
Like, that tells you how much you love the animals.
Yep. Oh, man. Yep. Sometimes I got to read. Yep. Sometimes I got to redo things 2-3 times until I get it the way I like it.
Wow. Now, your wife.
Yeah.
Is she as passionate about the lizards and enclosures as you are, or it's just you and the children?
It's me and the children. My wife, she plays a good role in Mike's monitors. Definitely. As far as encouraging me and she has my back on anything. I mean, I've made some big money purchases and, not a lot of people would do that, but I guess she's seen that I would make something of it. And, because I have people like that, my children and my wife that back me up, it just makes everything a little bit easier. So, yeah, my wife is fantastic.
Well, like I always say, the thing is that I think our spouses also recognize that we're going to do it anyway because we're so passionate about it. So ride the train or jump off. So my last question was, what do you like least about the hobby, or what you would like to see us change?
Well, I mean, I don't like just talk to talk. So when I talk and I explain something to somebody and they make a big money purchase from me, and in 2 weeks they call me back and they're like, "Oh, he won't come out. He's hiding all the time." I'm like, "Well, if you set up the cage the way I said, he really can't hide. I mean, he'll feel like he's hiding, but he can't hide from you." And they're like, "Oh, he's not tame like you said he would be." I'm like, "Look, they leave here very socialized. And
you gotta keep it going.
You gotta keep it going." And so people not listening is my biggest thing. I don't talk to hear myself talk. I talk to help people. And if you listen to me and it don't turn out the way I say, then that's bad on me. But I have not yet once had a complaint. Matter of fact, there's a guy, Nick Lillis. You know Nick Lillis, right? Ultimate Exotics. He's a great young man, and he hatched out some coming eyes. And me and him we're close buddies. And he's like, "Hey, I don't know what it is. My coming eyes are just mean, and they're snapping at me, and they're whipping me." And I said, "Well, explain to me the setup." He explained me the setup, and I'm like, "There's your problem right there." I told him the 40 breeder, simple setup with the one log, blah, blah, blah. It was a week later. He went on and posted. He goes, Mike Stefani, Mike's Monitors is the man. I took these animals from vicious little raptors in a week's time. Look at this. And he's showing them crawling up his arm, eating goldfish out of his mouth or whatever. So if you listen to me, again, I'm not just blowing smoke. If you listen to me, it works. This is tried and true. And I back it up and I believe in it and it works. So just, I just don't like it. Yeah. When people don't listen.
So I always say, and we'll end here with a couple more notes. Experience is the teacher. So if you're going to want to know how to do something right by a certain species or a certain thing, you go to the person who's doing it successfully for a long time. And like you said, things are going to happen. You learned a lot from mistakes that you made a long time ago, and pretty much that's how I feel. A lot of times in the reptile hobby today, we have a lot of new people. No hate on the millennials, but millennials specifically think they know everything because they went to school. And I don't care how many degrees you get in zoology or anything. I've been doing this for 32 years, and I'm going to tell you that if you do this is going to happen. Try it. If you do this, that is going to happen. Try it. And so for me, back to what I said, I found you on YouTube, didn't know anything about Mike monitors until probably about 5 years ago when I started to pursue, do I want a monitor or not? And I stumbled across you and I was stuck. And I knew that when I got to that point 2 years ago when we purchased Larry, I knew that I wanted a specific type of Asian water monitor, and I knew that I wanted one that was socialized, but I also knew that I was going to have to keep it socialized once I got here. And I also knew that the enclosure, if we did not have this space, I would not have an Asian water monitor. And so for me, if it's anything that I would say to anyone who's considering it, listen to the 3 top things that Mike said today. And I'm going to start with, just like us, you got to be comfortable in your home. If you're not comfortable in your home, your behaviors is going to reflect that one way or the other. You got to know how to properly feed and give nutrition to yourself. Same thing with the animals. And most importantly, nobody likes to be alone. Yep. I can't stand to see animals alone. And we have moments we want to be alone, but no one wants to be alone all the time.
Nope.
And those lizards and those monitors are the same exact way. So with that being said, I want to say thank you so much, Mike, for even agreeing to make yourself available to me. I am so honored. So honored. I said when I was posting about this the other day, I never thought that today in the podcast I will be talking to some of the people that I'm speaking with, but I don't have just the superstars on my channel. I have very common people who also have that same impact on me, like Bosa Balls. Bosa was on my show for my birthday, and Bosa did his video for the first time, Mike, with me. He's never was on camera, and I didn't know if he was going to do it or not, but I was just going to show up and hope that he came on the other side. And he did.
That's awesome.
And now he's on other people's podcasts. And so when I did this, I wanted to do it for 2 reasons. To properly educate people with people who are like you with stellar experience on how to take care of different species. Because I noticed too, you also have an emerald tree boa.
I just got a pair. I just got a pair. But I do have a background in snakes. I was snakes up until I was probably, 22, 25 years old. And then I got my first peach throat monitor. And from there, that was it. Once I got that peach throat monitor, I got rid of all my snakes. But yeah, I have rainbow boas still. I have Drymarchon rubidus, which is the Mexican indigos, and I just acquired a pair of emerald tree boas, which I love. They're doing great.
Yeah. So I mean, with that said, it's just amazing what we can provide to each other. But let's just remember that there's people who are masters at some of these animals. And if you're smart and you want to take care of your animals and give them the best life ever, you would reach out. And so my thing is, I want to expose not just the people who already have reptiles, but there is somebody watching this right now who may have not thought of getting a monitor, may be interested in getting a monitor, or thought that it was impossible, and you made it possible for them today. So I definitely appreciate that. Keisha, thank you so much. Keisha has dropped the link to Mike's channel right here. So please go to YouTube, get all the education you need. There's nobody I can think of that's doing it like he does it when it comes to monitors. And that's just period. And I always say, when y'all look at me and Larry, I went to the people with the knowledge, and his enclosure was definitely inspired by the man. Last thing is, I started off, if you're watching this and you didn't meet the coming in the beginning, please remember that I am definitely want you guys to look into the 2 charities that we're doing this month. I'm a big believer that what you give will be given back to you in a great measure. So I will definitely say just tap in. I'm going to put the link for the cancer donations in my in the description here on this video at the end. But you can also inbox me directly, and I'll send you the link. It goes directly to Susan G. Coleman. And as always, Tim, yes, Tim, I actually had that up earlier. Support U.S. Art. Without U.S. Art, nothing that we do would be in existence. Nobody in here will be sure of how long you're going to be able to keep your animal, regardless how long it lives. So it doesn't matter if you get a bronze subscription, which is $40, a silver, which is $250, or a gold, which is now $500. Just subscribe and watch their YouTube channel as well. There's so much information, and I always say, God bless Bill Goss. I don't even know how he do it all, but he does it for us and our animals. So Thank you so much. And then just ending with positive energy in the community all the time.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Again, everybody support U.S. Ark. I don't care if you have a goldfish or a chipmunk or and if you think you're safe with a dog and a cat, trust me, when they come after that, when they get rid of us, they're coming after you. So we all need to join forces together, support U.S. Ark. Whether you buy a subscription, whether you, donate your time or donate an animal or a product at the shows, at the auctions, that's great. But real quick, can I introduce some of my crew here?
Absolutely.
Come on here. Here's my daughter, Sarah Jean. There's my daughter, Sarah Jean. She's my vet tech.
And I love this shirt.
Thank you.
She's my vet tech, and she helps me with all medications and care of my animals. And here's my son, Dominic. He's a hands-on kid. And Angelino, where you going? I got the kid. The other one, Dominic, or Angelino and Gigi are running away, so they're camera shy. But
thank you so much. Thank you guys for having such an awesome dad and supporting him. He is changing lives of not just, I'm 49, and if it wasn't for me finding him 5 years ago, I would not be having the experience one of the best animals I ever owned. So I appreciate all of your sacrifices.
You should be careful giving your address out.
No, I said I'm 49, my age.
No, that's your address, right?
No.
You're not 49 years old. No way. Well, you look beautiful. You look beautiful.
Grandchildren. Thank you so much.
So, hey, thank you so much for this again. It was great. Anytime you want to talk to me or anybody out there, just get a hold of me. I'm always happy to help.
Definitely. I appreciate you. This was another dream show for me. So thank you. And thank you for everybody who was in the chat. Mike, have a blessed day. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your family. And take care of those monitors.
Thank you. God bless you guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye now.